The Heart of the Truest Believer is the third season premiere of the American fantasy drama series Once Upon a Time. It was first broadcast on September 29, 2013. This episode features the show's core characters journeying to Neverland in hopes of rescuing Henry, who was captured by Greg and Tamara, before Peter Pan can get his hands on him. While doing so, the characters must learn to cooperate during a dangerous storm. Meanwhile, Neal tries to find a way out of the Enchanted Forest in order to save Emma Swan from the dangers that lie ahead for her. The episode received generally positive reviews from critics, and was watched by 8.45 million viewers, down considerably from the second season premiere. Broken plot opening sequence Henry and the fugitive boy fly through a forest in Neverland. In the character's past the episode opens 11 years prior, with Emma Swan giving birth to Henry. As he is born, the lights in the hospital begin flickering and fading. The doctor tells Emma that she can change her mind about giving the baby up for adoption, but Emma replies that she cannot be a mother. In Neverland Emma, Mary Margaret, David, Regina, Mr. Gold, and Hook arrive in Neverland via the portal from the magic bean. Gold admonishes Emma for not having enough belief, which is essential to have in a place like Neverland, and leaves the party to search for Henry on the island himself. Emma holds Mary Margaret and David accountable for what has happened, believing that she should never have broken the curse and simply left Storybrooke with Henry. Hook commiserates with her over the loss of Neal, but their mourning is interrupted by an attack on the Jolly Roger by mermaids. Mary Margaret and Emma catch one in a net, while Regina drives the others away with fire. The makeshift crew argues among themselves about what to do with the mermaid, who summons a storm with a conch shell. The storm continues to worsen, and Regina turns the mermaid into a wooden statue. Further arguing makes Mary Margaret finally release her years of rage against Regina, and the two begin assaulting each other, prompting David to attempt to break it up and get drawn into a brawl with Hook. Emma realizes that their strife is causing the storm, echoing the mermaid's warning that they would kill themselves. In order to force them to cooperate, she dives overboard and is struck by a pulley that has fallen from the ship's rigging. The plan works as everyone puts aside of their differences to help David get into the water to rescue her. The storm clears up and the Jolly Roger is able to approach the island. Despite Hook's earlier plan of making their way around the island and catching the lost boys by surprise, Emma elects to lead the crew on a direct assault route, declaring that they must believe in each other in order for them to succeed in Neverland. Meanwhile, Henry is taken by Greg and Tamara through the jungle. Henry points out their unfounded trust in Peter Pan, a statement which begins to worry them when they discover the walkie-talkie they use to communicate with the Home Office is filled with sand. The Lost Boys soon find them, and reveal themselves to be the Home Office Greg and Tamara worked for, much to their displeasure. The leader of the Lost Boys, Felix, reveals that the plan was never to destroy magic, and that Greg and Tamara aren't meant to return to their world. The Shadow arrives and rips Greg's shadow from his body when he refuses to hand over Henry, and Tamara is shot with an arrow. Henry flees in the confusion, and is taken aside by a fellow runaway. The runaway reveals that he was a former lost boy, and stole pixie dust from Pan, hoping to escape from Neverland. However, he cannot make himself fly with it. Gold arrives at the scene of the skirmish, and finds Tamara still alive. She tells him that Henry ran, and that she and Greg had no idea that they were working for Pan. She also apologizes about Neal, but Gold crashes her heart. He and Felix meet in a clearing, with Felix welcoming Gold but warning him that if he is in Neverland for Henry, that makes him Pan's enemy. Rumpelstiltskin remarks that nothing has changed, and scoffs at the idea of his survival, only wanting to take down as many lost boys as he can before he dies. Felix responds by leaving behind a doll of a child, which reduces Rumpelstiltskin to tears. Henry and the runaway attempt to find the Echo Caves, where the lost boys will not be able to track them, but come to a ravine. Henry takes the pixie dust, and has enough belief in its power to allow him to fly. The runaway reveals that he himself is Peter Pan, and that he has been seeking the heart of the truest believer, which resides in Henry. Pan signals the Lost Boys, who surround Henry. In the Enchanted Forest. Neal wakes up in the same place where Aurora woke from her sleeping curse, being tended to by her, Prince Philip, and Mulan. When Neal reveals that he knows Emma, Aurora tries to communicate with Henry through the Netherworld via the sleeping curse. When she is unsuccessful, Neal and Mulan set out for Rumpelstiltskin's castle, hoping to find something to lead them to Emma and Henry. When they arrive there, they meet Robin Hood, who has taken up residence in the castle, but allows them to search for what they seek to repay the life debt he owes Rumpelstiltskin. Finding his father's old staff, Neal manages to uncover a concealed cabinet full of magical objects, including a crystal ball that tells him that Emma is in Neverland. Cultural references: the opening scene in this episode featured a clock in the hospital stopping at 8:15, another reference to Peter Pan. Also, a Disney-related fourth wall was broken in this episode when Neal mentioned to Mulan that they made a movie about her and told her, Aurora and Philippe, that the outside world considers them fairy tale characters. Production: on July 2, 2013, Adam Horowitz revealed the title of the episode through Twitter. ABC released the first promo for the season on August 13. Edward Kitsis stated that the first few episodes of the season would focus on Peter Pan and his intentions for Henry, but like any good mystery, you won't know the whole picture until you watch the whole 11 episodes. Reception Ratings. This episode posted a 2.6/7 among 18 to 49 with 8.52 million viewers tuning in, down 33% from the second season opening episode Broken, but was up 13% from the second season finale. In addition, this outing was also the top social broadcast series of the evening with 136,627 tweets, the highest number ever for the show. Based on Nielsen Euro unregistered trademark S-Live plus 3-day playback data for Sunday, the episode was marked the day's top broadcast series in adults 18 to 49, moving ahead of Fox Euro unregistered trademark SNFL premiere of The Simpsons. Viewers for the episode increased 1.8 million to 10.3, whilst the adults 18 to 49 rating increased to 3.5 from 2.6. In Canada, the episode was watched by 1.285 million viewers. Critical reception. The premiere episode received generally positive reviews from critics. Amy Radcliffe of IGN gave the episode a score of 8 out of 10. She praised its humor and use of Rumpelstiltskin, explaining that the writers keep his true motivations hidden and separating Rumpel from the group gives him the opportunity to shine. Robert Carlyle owned the character in a way he never has before. His flourishes and dearies didn't seem out of place and he even played with them a bit. Radcliffe also positively received Peter Pan's introduction, saying, "I appreciate how they flipped Peter Pan from a light-hearted boy to a master manipulator with questionable intentions. This show is at its brightest when it thinks out of the storybook in that way." Leanne Bonin's star of It Fix also gave the episode a positive review, opining that the show kicks off with one fairy tale I think will not only be great, naughty fun but will also help to aggregate storylines that started to feel scattered and rambling last season. Elise Whitney of WebPaint praised the beginning scene with Emma giving birth, saying the one standout moment was in the first minutes, showcasing Jennifer Morrison's Euro unregistered trademark's best acting to date. As Emma gave birth to Henry Euro, and the electricity flickered, which could be a hint at her magic Euro, and then refused to see him since she can't Euro unregistered trademark to be a mother, our hearts sank. It was an emotional way to kick things off, but was the perfect way to show how far sheer Euro unregistered trademark's come as she heads to save Henry with everyone on the Jolly Roger. Hilary Bizis of Entertainment Weekly compared Peter Pan to King Joffrey from Game of Thrones, saying it's a shame Storybrooke doesn't get HBO. If Henry paid attention to Theon's story in the Season 3 episode, and now his watch is ended, he might have been a bit more reluctant to trust the kid who conveniently showed up right after the Lost Boys took out Greg and Tamara, a kid who, to nobody's surprise but Henry's, turns out to be Peter Pan himself. Not all reviews were as positive, however. Gwenai Knott of the AV Club gave the episode a B rating, signaling mixed reviews. She said on the way to Neverland, "Unfortunately, OUAT's Season 3 premiere gets immediately bogged down in family issues, an area where these storybrokers have loads of problems." References. External links: The Heart of the Truest Believer at the Internet Movie Database.